The final aspect of presentation is your appearance, clothing and grooming. The combination of these aspects of presentation is key as you prepare for this journey. This part of the package is no less important. It is simply the most visible. Clothing and grooming are the first things a person notices when they meet you. And psychologists tell us that a person will make about a dozen visual observations and judgments in the first few seconds of meeting another person. That means when someone is introduced to you for the first time, before you ever say a word, they've taken in and interpreted more than 10 visual signals about you based on your appearance. They've looked at how you've dressed, if you've made any effort to dress, how tastefully you've executed that effort, and how appropriately you are dressed for the occasion. They will also consider how well or how poorly you've done your hair and makeup, the neatness and the quality of your clothes, and your posture and your composure. These observations are then interpreted, given meaning and value, and then, like it or not, conclusions are drawn about you. So let's learn more how to dress like old money after we have dived deeper into this book, Old Money, New Woman. Now, it's probably unfair to judge a book by its cover. At least that's what most people seem to think. But the thing is, whether you think it is fair or not, people are judging whether you like it or not. And the thing is that people equate the effort that you've put into your appearance in a few ways. They equate it to the respect that you have for them. They equate it to the respect that you have for yourself. And they equate it to the respect that you have for the place or the event that you're going to. Therefore, it's important to objectively assess how you look in the mirror and not just your selfie and what you look like to the public or the people around you. So I have a few tips for you if you're looking to dress like an old money woman. So tip number 1, you will be able to assess, refine, polish your look once you have figured out what looks good on your body. And this is going to allow you to shop a lot more effectively, not just from a time standpoint, not just from getting up and making decisions of what you put on in the morning, but also from the standpoint of not falling victim to trends. This is why old money is associated with having a more traditional and timeless style. It is effective across the board, every way that you look at it. Tip number 2, assess and review what you used to wear in the past. Now, look at what you were wearing 6 months ago, then look at what you were wearing 1 year ago, then look at what you were wearing 5 years ago, and look at what you were wearing 10 years ago. I myself didn't think that this exercise was going to really do that much for me because I know the journey that I have taken over the past few years. But I was surprised to see that I was able to pick up on elements of outfits that did work well for me, although maybe they just needed a little bit of tweaking. So for example, maybe I wore a dress that the cut was stunning on my pear-shaped figure, but the print wasn't something that I think would be aligned with what I wear now. I think sometimes when we look back, we can see items that are going to still help and look good on us now. One of the other things that I picked up on is perhaps maybe skinny jeans don't work the best on my heavier bottom, but jeans or denim that has a wider leg elongates me and looks a lot taller and a lot slimmer. So tip number 3 is to learn the basics. I think when you start doing your research on old money, you hear, buy the highest quality you can. But I think if you find yourself watching this video, you might not be exactly at that phase in life. I think if we were already arrived at hanging out and circling around old money, we wouldn't be researching it online. But there are ways that we can present ourselves that are going to allow us to look a little bit more old money than if we weren't doing these things. So what do I mean by that? One is going to be buying the highest quality that you can. Now you might go through seasons of life where you can get higher quality or the highest quality items, and then the next season you might not be able to afford that. So buy the highest quality item for your budget. The next thing that you're going to want to do if you're wanting to refine yourself and look old money is to make sure that you are well presented. Make sure that your items are steamed, they're pressed, and they're in good condition. So this means that you might be taking one of those debobblers to your outfits and making sure that there's no pilling going on. It might mean that you are making sure that there's no threads sticking out, and maybe refrain from wearing ripped clothing. The next basic that you can implement is to make sure that you're looking well groomed. Split ends, fried hair is not going to give you a chic, polished, and poised look. And that is what old money tends, or people with old money values, let me correct myself, they tend to strive for in the way that they present themselves. With saying that, you'll want to stay away from any wild and unnatural dye jobs. If you are going to color your hair, make sure that it is in line with keeping a natural, fresh look. Next, let's talk about our nails. We're wanting to keep them as natural as possible, but really you don't want them to look neglected, but you don't want them to look overdone either. For me, I keep with a red usually in the autumn, winter, maybe like a plum closer to the winter months. Usually in the spring, I go with pale pinks or French. I literally just took off my French before I started to film this video. And then in summer, I'll usually go with a nude or like a barely there pink. But those are usually the colors that I filter through throughout the year that I feel like are either very classic or they're quite natural. A key old money, new woman fundamental of dressing well is dressing appropriately. This is simply to know that what you wear is usually contingent upon the event you'll be attending or the activity you'll be participating in. Tip number 4 is to learn how to dress in an ensemble. Ensemble is a French word for together. And essentially, you want to look like you have it together. So this is why I briefly touched on nails and hair as well as the attire that you are going to wear, because really you are wanting to have an ensemble if you are looking to come across and look traditional and timeless, or like old money. One of the ways that I like to look at this is to look at the whole way that you're presenting yourself as a team. Your articles of clothing should complement your hair, should complement your makeup, should complement your nails, and should complement your footwear. They all need to work together as a team. My biggest takeaway from this chapter of the book is old money women understand that they have to look at this like it was a team. Coordinated from head to toe, and that team is working together on one project to achieve one goal. And that will project one single image, and that image is appropriate for the occasion. If you are liking this topic of old money, I would love if you press the subscribe button and joined this little old money obsessed community. If you're liking this topic of old money, you can also like the video, and then that will let me gauge whether you are still enjoying this topic. Thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you in the next video. Bye.